Welcome back, everyone, to episode 29 of the Illegal Formation podcast. I am your host, Scott. Joining me today is that one dude, Dan. Dan, how we doing today?
Bro, it's another day. It's another dollar, man. It is top 10 Tuesdays.
That's right.
So we here to get rocking. We here to get rolling.
That's right. Week 16 edition, and it's starting to shape up, I would say. At least my list doesn't have too many changes on it. It looks like your list has more changes on it. I forgot to take that off of the OBS, but anyway, we're gonna get right into these lists this week. It's like I said, for me, not as much movement, so let's get my list up on the screen. So starting off at number 10, I have the San Francisco 49ers. They're currently the 6th seed at 10-4 in the NFC, and they are 3rd in the NFC West. A really tough division this year. So they're staying put for me. They're only a game behind first place and the 1st seed, but they really haven't played the same schedule that the Rams and Seahawks have. And a lot of some of their wins happened early in the season against the Seahawks. I want to see if they can do that again, and we'll see that later this month. Number 9, I got the Bears. They're also staying put for me. They're the current 2nd seed in the NFC at 10-4, and they're my number 9 team. Even though they're first place in the NFC North, they have only a half game lead on the Packers, and they didn't beat the Packers when they had Micah and Christian Watson. So we'll see later this week to see how that could develop. And I'm kind of waiting for that to see if I'm ever going to move this team up past this spot, because I feel like I kind of have them maxed out. Number 8, I have the Lions currently out of the playoffs in the NFC side as the 8th seed, sitting at 8-6, and they're 3rd in the NFC North. So they're 2 games behind the division, and they're a game and a half out of the playoffs, and that's not great positioning to be in at this point. They might miss the playoffs, which is a shame, because this is definitely one of the top 10 teams in the league in my opinion, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles this time. Whenever Gibbs doesn't have 3 touchdowns, it seems they lose. If he doesn't have 3 touchdowns and 100 yards, and the defense is just so stale. I mean, they got ahead on this Rams team, and they couldn't stay ahead. The Rams just picked them apart for the whole rest of the game, so they stayed put. Yep. They are who we thought they were. Number 7, we got the Packers dropping 2 spots for me. Crushing injuries, crushing blows, losing both Micah Parsons to an ACL tear, and then Christian Watson to what looked like a shoulder/collarbone injury, maybe an AC joint, and who knows how many weeks he'll be out. He was looking to be a real threat, kind of playing as an alpha as he was in, and really helping this offense take form late in the season during Toyotathon, but it's just hard to believe the same vision of what we thought they were before this week. So I have them dropping 2 spots because I just know that that's going to hurt them when it matters most. They needed that talent, now they don't have it. Number 6, I got the Patriots also dropping 2 spots to number 6. They're still currently the 2nd seed in the AFC at 11-2, and they're still first place in the AFC East. And it was a tough loss to this Bills team. And it matters a lot, though, in my opinion, because of the schedule that they've played. They only have so many tests, and this was another one, and they didn't pass this time. And in fact, I would say, blowing the lead was kind of concerning for the defense. I know they don't have Milton Williams. They don't have Will Campbell on offense right now, so they could improve from this. They have a 1-game lead on the Bills and the division. They have a better in-division record, so looks like they'll probably hold on to this spot in the playoffs, but we'll see about the top 10 rankings. Number 5, I got the Bills. They're currently the 6th seed in the AFC, 2nd in the AFC East to the Patriots, but they're only 1 game behind, and this team is coming. Yes, the defense is flawed, but against non-Chiefs teams in the playoffs, they allow an average of 15 points per game. Even in that loss to the Bengals, where they scored 27, the defense has played well. In the playoffs, they only scored 10 on offense that game. Josh Allen and this offense might be the best in football. And they've had 3 monster comebacks on the year, and that's something I want to see for the playoffs, is your ability to do that. He's the best QB left in the AFC and honestly the whole NFL for the playoffs, and it might just be that simple, guys. I know Mahomes is out, but the theory might get just passed down whenever that happens. Number 4, I got the Texans, though, ahead of them, rising 2 spots. They had a pretty big win over a bad Cardinals team that can't win. But they destroyed the Cardinals in this game. They're currently the 7th seed in the AFC at 9-5, second place in the AFC South, 1 game behind in the AFC South. So it's more about the Patriots and Packers falling, but still, this defense is amazing. I think Stroud is severely underrated in my opinion, and with him in command and the line, playing at this improved level, I think they can beat anyone. Number 3, I got the Broncos. For me, they're staying put. They're currently the 1 seed in the AFC at 12-2. And they got a 1-game lead on the 1 seed over the Patriots, and a 2-game division lead over the Chargers. So they're sitting pretty comfortably right now. It sure helped that Christian Watson and Micah Parsons got hurt in that Packers game. The Packers were winning, and it wasn't looking good for the Broncos, but all the air got sucked out, and the Broncos, they pounced. They took advantage of it, and they did what they did all year versus a top team in the league. And Bo Nix, he makes big plays when it matters. And there hasn't been much of a wow factor to it, but they are tested and they are ready for these last 3 games against the Jaguars, Mahomes Chiefs, and the Chargers, and the coming playoff games. Like I said, they've been in bad situations plenty of times, so they're battle tested. Number 2, Seahawks, current 5 seed in the NFC at 11-3. They're tied, though, with first place for the division and the conference. It's just tiebreakers in the head-to-head. But to me, this team is regressing, kind of. It's just hard to move teams up above them when they played so well against the Rams. And they're going to have to do that. And so is everybody else, in my opinion. So since the Rams game, they've had 4 layups. And now they finished with the Rams, the Panthers, and the 49ers. So here's their crucible. Here's their test before the playoffs. They'll be ready when the playoffs roll around. I'm holding out for now. But a lot of their ranking next week is going to be based on this game because I've hesitated for them. And then number 1, I got the Rams, are the current 1 seed in the NFC at 11-3. Stafford is the MVP. 3 weeks left on the year, and he's already got 37 touchdown passes. No one else in the NFL has 30. And he's tied for the league least in interceptions at 5 in the NFL. Can't get any better than that. The defense has regressed a little bit the past few weeks, but they're still 7th overall in defensive EPA. And this team is just a lethal and punishing combination of doing everything well on both sides of the ball and forcing opposing teams into an overwhelming amount of mistakes. And that sounds like a championship team to me. So they're my number 1 team. Dan, why don't you now take it away with your top 10 list? It's now on the screen and everyone can see.
So at 10, guys, we got the Chargers. Why? Because their fight is absolutely wild. The fact that they stuck it through the way they have been, through all the injuries, through all the pain, through all the misery, they were able to come up against the Chiefs. Easy money. At 9, we got the Jags. And as far as the Jags go, 2-10 got hurt. He's going to be roughed up. This is ETN season now for those who got him in fantasy. Good job, guys. Jacoby Myers been useful. BTJ finally got a touchdown. Freaking finally, bro. That's all I really have to say to that. T-Law looked fantastic, but I am not fully sold on the Jags yet. I feel like they've been so inconsistent, I guess, with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I can't really put my money on them, especially going into the AFC playoffs. Next, I got the Packers. And even though the Packers had a really good game, their losses and injuries really shot them for me for going forward. Because while you took the L, you also lost some of your best soldiers in that game as well. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's basically it's a double negative that don't turn positive. That's all I'm saying.
It's
with
like
that
when the
one.
Chargers lost Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater.
And Rashawn Slater, literally.
Critical
Like,
hit.
yeah, exactly. It's like, critical hit, and we took the L. Like,
Yeah.
that's the double negative, but it's not a positive. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying. What's it called? Was that 10, 9, 8, 7? Going the Eagles. I only moved them up. What's it called? I believe 3 slots, just because one, they did what they needed to do. It was a mojo game. Jaden Daniels has been confirmed he's not playing for the rest of the season. So is Marcus Mariota. I think now that the Eagles have the momentum, they figured out that this stuff actually works. Hurts actually starting to get lit up on the sideline and getting lit on the field and actually having emotion towards it gives me that nostalgia, but also that gut feeling of like something just awoken in Philly that I feel like that every team's looking at it like Every team's gonna look at it like they just beat the Raiders. That's all it was. But from a fan standpoint, watching every game so diligently like I do, something pissed. They were pissed off that game, and I think it's gonna carry for the rest of the season. And that's why I'm excited to see the Bills game. Now at 6,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're at
7,
six.
6. Get the Bears. I keep losing the number. The Bears.
The
And the Bears,
Bears.
yo, their offensive production, fire. The way Caleb Williams is playing, fire. The way the weapons are being used, fire. Swift, Monangai combination, fire. The defense, it's like
All we had to do
all
was
phases
talk
of
about it,
them
and
are good or better. Like I don't really see a negative thing, and that may be most likely because of the coaching. Because a lot of this team is very similar to what they had last year. They added, of course, key pieces, I would definitely say. But going from like Keenan Allen, a very experienced veteran, to then Odunze Moore and Luther Burden, like they got Loveland,
Zacchaeus too.
Zacchaeus too. Yeah, can't forget that guy.
Yeah.
So adding all these weapons plus Ben Johnson, oh my God, the turnaround. I'm telling you, I've been hype on the Bears since day one, and I'm not stopping this shit. Like they are good, and you have Caleb Williams making one throw away from beating them at Lambeau, breaking the cycle. And now we play. Now they play again this week. I swear to gosh, I'm expecting them to be saucy, and if they come out beating the Packers and whooping them, we have a different question here.
Yeah.
But going to 5 at the Broncos. Something about the Broncos confuses me. And I know we'll get into it later, so I'm not going to add more detail. That's all I'm going to say with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Next, the Seahawks at 4. I love the Seahawks. I've told you that since day one. I know your issue is the quarterback. Everything else works,
Yeah.
but the quarterback doesn't sell you. He hasn't fully sold me, but I've probably invested about 75% of my stock in that mother heifer. And I agree that he has games where he's off, but he was not off this game for the reason that Rivers coming back. I think nobody prepared to see him perform how he did. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I think all of them expected.
It was impressive.
It was impressive. I think everybody expected it was gonna be an easy Ducks backyard kid football, like he's been playing with his 11 kids in the back.
Yeah.
Like that's what they were expecting. No,
He was ready.
he was cooking. And listen, he stuck to his game. He never was good at throwing deep balls. And guess what? He ain't do that shit either this game either. Like
It looked like Phillip Rivers.
it looked like regular Phillip Rivers. So I was like thoroughly happy with that. Number 3, the Patriots. A lot of you guys might look at me and be like, what the hell, Dan? They just got beat by the Bills. What's going on here? I think that was a good loss. I think that was a loss you need to have going into the season because, as Scott said beforehand, right? Eagles went through something similar. 2022. We lost late in the season against the Saints when we didn't need to in the 2022 season. And everybody looked at us like, oh my God, what's going on here? We went to the Super Bowl that year. While Scott may come up to me and say that was a Mickey Mouse run and that was an absolute fraudulent Super Bowl appearance, I could say we went to the Super Bowl in that year. So there is a lot of things that I think the Patriots need, and that was one, a close win, which ended up being a loss.
That's against a good team too.
Against a really good team. You know what I mean? And the weather conditions weren't good for them, but it was the same way both ways. But we know how Josh Allen is in this type of year. And they were having a good, really, really good time on defense stopping him. So, and Henderson and Drake May running down 40 yards down the field to block for him. Henderson coming behind and scoring the touchdown. Made me really realize, yo, this team coming playoffs are going to give it so much more than I think people are expecting. And that's why I have them at 3. Going to 2, the Texans. Why? I'm not even gonna lie, it's because of that defense, bro. That defense is, it's hitting for me Legion of Boom. I'm not even gonna lie to you. With how physical, demanding, under pressure, and dominant they are overall, it's like amazing. Like I love that ish. The
Yeah.
fact that CJ Gardner-Johnson didn't last on that team is mind-boggling to me for how hard of a hitting safety he is.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of teams can't stand him.
You know what I'm saying? He thrived in Philly, but then we traded him because we wanted picks.
And then he came back. But anyway.
And then he came back. Then he won a Super Bowl. And then, so I don't know. I don't see it. I don't get it. But the Texans are dominant. And the CJ Stroud, I feel like it's starting to put the pieces together that he was missing. I think the offense is starting to work out together now. Woody Marks is cooking. Higgins is coming out. Right? It's Higgins?
Yeah, Jaden Higgins.
Jaden Higgins. Yeah. Higgins is coming out. Collins is doing good. Schultz got more active this game than I've probably seen him all season. Like, I've saw it 86 a couple times that game. It was pretty fire. And then one, of course, I have the Rams. You know what I mean? I can't really. It's like kind of hard to argue with that with the numbers they're putting out right now and what they're doing so far. But I've also seen the number one team like still not make it beforehand in the past. So
Yeah, of course.
I'm just waiting. I'm just curious to see like what Stafford does look like against the Seahawks second time around. What is Stafford going to look like in the playoffs? Even though right now it's all going to be at SoFi, so they're going to have that perfect condition to do what they want, kind of football.
Like last time.
So exactly. So and for me, I wonder, right? NFC Championship, if it is Eagles and Rams again.
Oh man,
at SoFi,
they'll be nervous. I think.
I think they'll shit bricks a little bit.
I think the Eagles are the one team they don't want to see. As
much
as I trash the Eagles.
If the Rams look at the NFC conference right now, who the playoff teams are, it's like they're banking either the Niners, the Seahawks, or the Bears knock us out.
Yeah, I guess we can just quickly kind of compare our lists real quick. You don't have the 49ers or the Bills, and I have the Bills at 5. And I don't have the Jaguars or the Chargers, but I don't have the Eagles. So who is the one team that you don't have the Lions either? Okay, so you're pretty much out on the Lions in terms of top 10. But I want to focus my question around this Bills and Eagles game, just like a little mini kind of preview of like how this is going to affect like next week's list and stuff. It's like these two teams playing each other is so huge because like the Bills, they're coming off really hot on that 21-point comeback against the Patriots is what I would call it. I don't know that I'd call it a good loss, but they did look pretty good in the first half. Travion is unbelievable. It was a really weird loss, but the Bills coming off a win like that and the Eagles coming off a win versus the Raiders where I feel like, Johnson, Lane Johnson, he will be back, right? He was not back.
By then he'll be back. He was not back this game.
Right, he was not back, and you guys did this, and now you get him back versus the Commanders without Daniels. Like, you guys are going to be going into the playoffs just fine. And then you'll be healthy, and then it's like, oh, shit, the Eagles are back. So, I really thought about putting them at 10. It's just like I kind of feel the same way about the 49ers, and I think they've been a little more consistent. So I forgot to mention my honorable mentions of Eagles, Jaguars, and Chargers in that order because I think there's like a clear top 13 in the NFL and then a drop off when you get to like the AFC North with the Steelers and Ravens.
But
that
Steelers game was pretty adamant. Like it was boring for the first quarter and some change, but the second quarter and then they started picking up momentum. That's the thing about the Steelers. They pick up momentum and they run away with the game.
Yeah, I think they play well in the second half. I don't have the numbers right now, but I could probably find them at some point in the show. But yeah, I don't mind the Steelers. I got love for the Steelers. So and then it looks like mostly, other than that, our lists are very similar. Packers 7 and 8, Bears. I have them at 9. You have them at 6. But I've said I'm just kind of waiting for that game. I could put them as high as 6. Broncos 3 and 5, Seahawks 2 and 4, Texans 4 and 2, Rams 1. Like I think the NFL's top elite teams are really solidifying themselves at this point, but none more than the Denver Broncos, who are now all of a sudden 12-2 and first place in the AFC. No Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs this season. No Joe Burrow in the playoffs this season. Maybe even no Lamar Jackson in the playoffs this season. Just Josh Allen with a very brittle defense. So, Dan, I want to ask you, holding the 1 seed, with the way they're playing right now, are the Denver Broncos destined to reach the Super Bowl? We're 7 weeks out.
Do I think they'll make it?
8
Do I
weeks
genuinely
out.
think they'll make it?
No. No. Okay. Why?
Okay. Why?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of teams have close wins the way that they have been doing it, and it not turn out for them well in the playoffs.
Right.
I've seen numerous times where teams have been bailed out or the momentum flips, and that's happened a lot for the Broncos, i.e. this Packers game. For example, Bo Nix, I forgot which sports analyst that they blamed Bo Nix for the reason that Michael Parsons' ACL got torn because of how he was scrambling and all this issues. It was wild. But
It's all his fault.
long story short, right? If I'm Bo Nix and I'm scrambling and all of a sudden I find out their best pass rusher had a non-contact knee injury, their number one stud receiver just got hurt, that is a momentum plus team boost like no other.
Absolutely.
And guess what? It rose their confidence and they ended up winning. Well, sadly, they're not in the NFC. So that it doesn't affect a Josh Allen team who right now is thriving so far. A hungry Patriots team that they seem to really thrive and love the underdog mentalities, which is what I'm getting from this Patriots team. The absolute dog fight that the Chargers have every single week, trying to come up with points just in general to thrive. Justin Herbert with his fractured left wrist, hand, whatever. Who else is in the playoffs right now? Them.
Texans.
The Steelers. The Steelers who, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, there are 2 or 3 defensive stops from completely shutting you out of a game. Like, that's just how the Steelers operate. And we saw that yesterday against the Dolphins. I'm not saying the Dolphins are like the, what's it called?
Example.
Dolphins are like the Broncos. Sorry, drew a blank.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is when Daniel Jones was super hot fire with the Colts and the Steelers came up and absolutely terrible toweled the shit out of his ass, like the pumpkin Daniel Jones was back immediately.
Yeah.
And like
I
break
said, his leg, but I don't know when that happened to be for certain. But yeah, they put him under pressure, and they can do that to anyone. I feel like in the right moment,
in the right circumstance. I fully agree. So, I would not say the one game against Mahomes last year where he got absolutely torched was a good experience. 100%, all experience is good experience. But
you mean the Bills in the playoffs, or are you talking about?
I thought they played the.
No, they played the
They
Bills.
played the Bills and
they
got
played
washed.
the Bills. But yeah, you're right. He got crushed. They got the
Okay. So he played the Bills, got absolutely dog water smacked, all that stuff in between. And of course, it's a good experience, yes, but it's not long enough or enough experience, especially with this new team that's around you, to be able to go and 180 turn against these teams. We'll get into it later because I remember you said what we're going to talk about later, so I'll give more detail about that. But yes, long story short, no.
Okay, so I've got views on both sides of this. So my opinion is I'm very high on this team, and they are my number one AFC team. I really like the coach. I like the quarterback that melds with him. I think the defense is elite. It's top 3, and you need all of those to control clock and win games in the playoffs. The weapons on offense, they don't have any superstars, but a lot of solid role players. Sutton as a pseudo number 1 isn't bad. Franklin, Mims, and Pat Bryant working in their spots, and then Harvey and Ingram.
And now I got little Jordan Humphrey,
and they got Lil Jordan, someone who's very familiar with Peyton's offense. And Bo Nix's legs have been a weapon too. They've been another go-to for them, another easy button. And the concern for this team has been the offense and the scheme. And that scheme is very timing heavy, very reps dependent, and it's difficult to master that type of offense. And it does depend a lot on the quarterback to be a point guard, but it pans out the best for your team, finishing out those games. So as the year goes on, those reps are going to mean more and more for them because they don't rely on talent. It's execution for them. And I feel like that's so huge in the playoffs. And Bo Nix is kind of like the afterburner. He gives them an X factor, and I feel like nobody wants to say it. Like, I feel like it's not like sexy or attractive to say like Bo Nix is like this like game changing quarterback, but like with the way he uses his legs and his ability to show up when it matters, like I think it's been huge for the Broncos, and that's kind of my good for the Broncos. But my however is we all know the AFC is different this year, and the whole aura has changed to just a complete mystery. And like I said, without Mahomes, without maybe Lamar, and definitely without Joe Burrow, it seems like no one really has a concrete idea of what is going to happen and what to make of all these teams' regular season schedules. And the two defensive teams that are at the top for me, but this ranking for the Broncos is incredibly flimsy, and so is my Texans ranking at 4. And that's because people seem to forget, in my opinion, like there's this other guy who makes the playoffs every year, and he looks unstoppable right now, and they only lost to 2 other guys, this guy, when he's been in the playoffs, who aren't there this year. And it seems so obvious to just say, why not Josh Allen to fill in for the Chiefs and take this AFC home? And, why not go to him? And so I think it's fair to cement the Broncos as contenders. But with that being the case, I'd like to just see how many teams we think can hang with the Broncos in the AFC this season. So let me pose to you another question. Let's play AFC Contenders or Pretenders. All right, you ready for this? So we're going to go through all these other AFC teams and, kind of use the Broncos as your benchmark and ask yourself, can they beat them in the AFC Championship? So starting things off, the Houston Texans. What do you think, Dan? Are they contenders or pretenders? Contenders?
I say contenders.
Do you want to give just a little bit why?
Oh, of course. Like as we said, as we seen in the last Super Bowl, a defense can legitimately win you a championship. You know what I mean? Get the offense started, put them in great position, do what they need to do. And I'm not lying. Like the Eagles defense was fantastic last year. And I could say this defense feels, if not the same, just a tad bit better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No bias, no real ish. This is that one dude on the illegal formation. This ain't no Eagle. I'm putting the Eagles fan stuff aside. I'm putting legit facts here. They are looking more dominant. They are looking like they cause more pressures, more headaches for the quarterback, for the coaches, for the offenses. The way they physically lay out the hits and do that stuff, like it is an old school kind of defense that it seems like D'Amico Ryan has brought, and they're absolutely cooking. So yes, contenders.
All right. Yeah, I feel it's a very similar theory to the Broncos, except they have a defensive head coach. So I like Denver a little bit more from that standpoint, only because Vance Joseph, the Broncos defensive coordinator, is a head coach level DC, and I don't love the Texans offensive coordinator Nick Haley like that yet. So, and their offensive line's also been a major issue early on. Maybe not so much now. It's improving, but it's not like it's a strength. Like the Broncos have a good offensive line. It's important to remember that too. But I think Stroud is better than Bo Nix. I think Stroud's done everything Bo Nix has done. And I think even though
Besides win a playoff game.
Well, he won against the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, he beat the Browns. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, like Stroud won, but Blake didn't.
And Bo Nix, right, he couldn't. And he doesn't have Sean Payton helping him, and he doesn't have the offensive line helping him, but he does have great wide receivers, something that the Broncos don't. Nico Collins is elite. That's something that can really help you win playoff games. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel are great rookies. Third-year wide receiver Xavier Hutchinson. And Christian Kirk is like your 4 or 5 as a solid vet. So the blueprint's very similar to Denver, and I like them also as contenders. I agree. Now, next team. Are the Buffalo Bills contenders or pretenders?
Contenders. Let me elaborate. Mahomes not there. Lamar almost not. Joe Burrow's not. A lot of these guys they're about to be in the playoffs. He's beaten normally, and usually, and you saw the Broncos for example. He destroyed them already. The number one seed. So if he's able to beat the number one seed, I think he could beat the like half charged up Chargers. The Texans are the only team right now I feel like that could stop him right now. Hence why I would say like that right there to me is the AFC Championship game. I'll call that where what I feel.
Texans Bills.
So Texans Bills.
Okay.
So that's why I say contenders.
All right. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I got to ask you, did you mean to leave them off your list if that's the case? Or would you sandwich them ahead of the Broncos and behind the Texans at 5?
I had at 10 the Chargers, right?
Yeah, you kick them down and move everyone down one spot.
No, but that's why for me, like the Chargers and the Bills, I feel like are interchangeable. Almost like the Chargers defense is so stagnant and clutch for the Chargers, hence why it keeps them in games.
Mhm.
But the offense, I feel like Herbert is so skilled with his passing ability, his accuracy. It allows them to stay in games against,
For
especially
sure.
having Quentin Johnson and Keenan Allen and all these other like players who are able to get open rather than having a brittle defense who struggles genuinely in these kinds of like really serious matchups. But you have an absolute like the MVP of last year, so it kind of like it teeters. So it's almost like they have the same value, but the graphs are just way proportionally different. Is what I
It
would say.
sounds like you want to rank them in the top 10 sank in the sake of the top 10 for week 16. You currently want to hold them around a number 9 or number 10 team, but you expect them in the playoffs to be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, right now,
Yeah,
like if you just say like if the Bills are in there, who am I confident in? Of course, I'm
right.
gonna trust the
All
Bills
right.
because if they've been there.
All right, fair enough. All right. Next, the New England Patriots, are they contenders or are they pretenders? Oh wait, I'm
So
sorry. I forgot to give my take on the Bills.
yes, you did.
Yeah, I did. All right, so let's. This is what I think about the Bills. I said it before. Josh Allen's far and away the best QB left in the playoffs, let alone the AFC, and that's going to go a long way in these close games where it's up to the QB to make a couple plays in the clutch, and that stacks week over week. It puts a lot of pressure on the QB. That helps a lot when you have Josh Allen. The defense just can't have a dreadful half, and they could win it all this year. The problem is that seems inevitable. So I don't know. There's a caveat with every team. It's maybe not so concentrated as it is on this Bills team, but something about Josh Allen being able to compensate for that seems like a chance I'd be willing to take this year. I think the Bills are contenders for sure. All right, next, the New England Patriots. Dan, are they contenders or are they pretenders?
So I've been thinking about this like kind of like on my own all day, which is why it was funny when you told me you were gonna bring up this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't lie, right? It is the Bills, the Chargers, the Texans, the Steelers, or the Ravens. And I'm missing one team. Help me out here. The Colts,
The
possibly.
Jaguars.
The Jaguars. Yes, the Jaguars. That's what it is. And I'm not gonna lie, right? I'm gonna say contenders. One for the sake of how my top 10 is, but there's a gut. It's one of those gut feelings I don't know how to explain. That the Patriots, I feel like, may be shocked experiencing the playoffs for the first time, and that there's a chance that one of these teams may get them one and done.
Mm-hmm. I've shared that similar belief, but there was if before you want to answer, if you want me to kind of share a devil's advocate with you, I'm more than happy to do that. Or you can just finish.
For me, I mean, like I'll listen to your devil's advocate before.
So I thought the same exact mindset as you. Oh, they haven't been tested much. This is a brand new team. I don't like it. But something about Mike Vrabel being the head coach of this team I really like with Josh McDaniels. And thinking to myself, if Vrabel can get to an AFC championship with Ryan Tannehill, I absolutely think he can win one with Drake May, especially this year with no Mahomes, no Burrow,
Yeah.
and possibly no Lamar. So that's kind of my devil's advocate.
Okay. I see what you're saying, which is why I'm saying like I genuinely believe like that's why I have them so high in my top 10. They're a great team.
Mhm.
I believe in these coaches. I believe in the skill set. Um,
Will Campbell and Milton Williams are also out right now. They'll be back.
by then, yeah. So there's just the pieces that are needed, and I wonder because how I've seen some teams in the past, they sign players just last second to be able to kind of finish
Finish it.
what they needed.
Yeah,
And I'm
complete.
wondering if they try that somewhat this season. I gotta look up, of course, what receivers right now are available that could do something. I haven't seen D Hop on the Ravens so far. I haven't seen a lot of these players that I feel like we're gonna do something this year. They haven't been
A lot of them haven't been
active.
hitting. I think is
Exactly.
Amari Cooper still a free agent?
I believe so.
Maybe him, but I don't know. He didn't look great on the Bills, so
I also feel like just that Josh Allen just didn't use him the way I thought he would.
maybe
I don't know what it is with Josh Allen and like star receivers because like he did good with Diggs one year and then he just started to slowly fall off.
they changed the scheme. But with all this being said, how are you feeling? Sounds like you're circling both answers.
Yeah, but for this context, I shouldn't be down on them, so I'm gonna say contenders.
Yeah, and honestly, I actually agree. Mostly though, because the AFC is wide open. Because I think maybe their path won't be like
This is the
crazy.
first season that you just don't know.
Well, yeah, you really don't know. The AFC has been so copy paste. Literally, it was actually getting kind of boring. We kind of asked for this, and now we don't know what to do. But yeah, that's really how it feels, and that means this Patriots team. If the questions were like, oh, experience, they got Mike Vrabel. It's not like they went 11-2 for no reason.
Yep.
Like there are reasons for it, and it's been I think cohesiveness, execution, playing really hard. Sure, the schedule's been easy, but Drake May is fantastic, and the sky's the limit for him. He can only get so much better in one season, but can they get to an AFC Championship? And then at that point, anything can happen. Yeah, I think they can beat in a universe any one of these AFC teams, and in the past couple years there would be new teams that I would say no chance they beat the Chiefs, and go to the Super Bowl. So I do think they are contenders. All right, next. This is where things get interesting in my opinion. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 10-4 and currently hold first place in the AFC South ahead of the Texans. Are they contenders or pretenders?
Pretenders.
Pretenders? Okay, why? You're a T-Law
I think
guy.
I'm a T-Law guy, and I don't think that's the reason why they're pretenders. I think they're pretenders because how do I say they have acquired weapons throughout this season that personally I just don't know
Like Jacoby
how
Myers.
like Jacoby Myers having Travis Hunter having BTJ.
Mm-hmm.
BTJ has completely dropped off this season the way that he's supposed to. Um, what's it called? Myers finally is having his breakout. Strange, I haven't seen him being as active. They're using Washington more than BTJ. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean he's
Then
heated up a little bit, but it's still
and
disappointing to see like you only have this going now.
and as we said beforehand, like um, I feel like the Jaguars and a lot of their wins, like the Chiefs was a good example, like falling twice and being able to run for a touchdown. I feel
That
like a lot of
accidental win
Jacksonville's,
theory.
yeah, I feel like a lot of Jacksonville's games have not been as like dominant as I thought they would have been, and it's almost like they're gonna go into the playoffs with that kind of mindset, like okay, we're just gonna make it happen. But it's like the playoffs, you can't really just make it happen. It's like no, like you are literally emptying the playbook in the playoffs, and I just wonder how much more do the Jacksonville Jaguars really have to empty. I feel like they've been pretty lucky throughout the regular season to get to the record that they have, and I don't know if that luck can continue.
Yeah. So
And
you
also too, like you play the Titans twice a year, and then the Colts. You always lose in Jacksonville, so that's already 3 wins. I feel like guaranteed.
yeah.
Both Texans fights, you're kind of always guaranteed. Like both Texan games are going to be really tough. Um, And they play a lot. They played a lot of like good, like pretty, like easy teams this year again too. But they also had really good competitive teams as well. So it's a mixture. I just don't. I just think that um they don't have everything that they need right now.
So you think Pretenders?
Yes.
Yeah, them. I'm not so sure about them as contenders. That they've had high points early and at this point in the season. You know, early on they beat Houston, San Francisco, and the Chiefs in a row, which was a really impressive win streak. They go into the bye, come out. They have a 2 game losing streak. This was before the bye to the Seahawks and the Rams, and they looked
Hmm.
bad in those losses. It wasn't like close losses. Post bye, they sneak past the Raiders in overtime, and then lose to Davis Mills Texans. And Davis Mills isn't bad, no disrespect, but it wasn't Stroud in a shootout too. So what's up with the defense? It's supposed to be so great. They crushed
One
the
point, the highest scoring defense in the league in the early season.
right, and then they crushed the Chargers. And the Chargers have problems, but they're also 10-4. And then they blow past this month of layups with dominating defense, the run game, and T Law just played the best game of his career. This team has every right, kind of by like just quantitative measure, to project where the Texans and Broncos are right now. But to me, you use the word consistency, the lack of it has me believing that they're a team I expect to have inconsistency show up at the worst time
That's
and
exactly what I'm
cost them.
saying.
So I'll say
It's like
Pretender.
yep. It's a game by game basis with the Jags,
Yeah.
and that's what stresses me out.
That's why I like more about the Broncos than the Jaguars, even though there are only 2 games separating these two teams and they have some similar components. I think we know the Broncos are better, but it's the Broncos win the same way every time. And just another little note on them, kind of could be reminded of the Minnesota Vikings when they were 14-3. Oh, you're winning all these one-score games, even against bad teams and stuff like that, and it's true. But the thing that could have forecasted that they were a fraudulent team to us is the EPA chart. And for the viewers, I will throw that on so that you guys can see where the Broncos lie, and it's right here. Uh, so the Vikings were kind of in the middle of this cross that you can see, and it's plotting defensive EPA up and down, and then it's plotting offensive EPA left to right, and it kind of gives you a good idea of how good a team is and how balanced they are. Are they really? If you're in the top right, you're doing good. You're good at both, and we see teams like the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Broncos aren't quite out there with the Rams and the Seahawks. They're right next to the Jaguars. The Patriots are ahead of them on the offensive EPA. The one thing EPA I think has a kind of trouble adjusting for is when you have an easy schedule that's feeding you those successful plays. So some of those teams, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't tell the whole story, but the Jaguars, in theory, have performed at the same way as the Broncos, adding up the whole season. But when you look at the pieces that make that up and the inconsistencies, it looks uglier. And I think that's where the doubt comes from. So I just wanted to inject that. So you ready for the next team?
Get it rocking.
Chargers, pretenders or contenders?
Neither. They're survivors, Scotty. That's what I freaking think because they are trying their absolute best right now to get this going. If both Slater and Alt were together and they were here, yo, they would be monstrous. I would say contenders immediately.
Yeah.
But you have always that underdog team that everybody's like, they're not giving up. They're gonna get smacked. And it's sad to say, but like this lineup of like play like teams that are coming up for the playoffs, like this is a pretend kind of they're pretenders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard when you're betting on your running game 24/7, and yes, they were able to go up against a Mahomes Chiefs team and everything, but they were beaten and battered and couldn't get nothing going. Rashi Rice like literally almost died the way he got freaking smacked on that slant route. Xavier Worthy got absolutely bodied in the game. It's a different story when you have what's it called? The receiving core and the defenses that you're about to have a go with like to go up against now. I would feel so bad watching the Texans play the Chargers.
Yeah, and you know what? You saying that is just like we see the same thing. It's much more obvious to me that the Chargers are inconsistent. I mean, they lost like 34 to like 9 to the
They
Jaguars.
yeah, and the Eagles didn't have a better game, but that game with the Eagles was the most ugliest. It was literally that right there is the definition of who wanted to lose more.
Yeah, no, it was. And let's not forget last year either. We saw them play the Texans, and they got
Yeah,
Justin Herbert got crushed. He threw like 4 picks all year, and then threw like 4 in the game, in the single game. And yeah, both tackles out for the year. Bad offensive
bro,
line.
they would get mauled. It'd
The
be like a
second they
million
play
to zero.
Houston or Denver, they're done. Even the Steelers could be a bad matchup, even though they beat them early on. I think they had Joe Alt in that game. So Denver, Houston, auto losses, and I just don't know if they can keep up scoring with the Patriots and Bills. That's a lot on Justin Herbert's shoulders. The defense is playing fairly well, but like that didn't help them last year. And I think yeah, they're pretenders. Like they're I don't want to conflate my excitement for what they can be next year with expectations for this year's playoffs. It's
Exactly.
great that they're doing well. It's gonna fall apart. This is their caveat. Is just Justin Herbert's gonna get sacked 9 times and lose at the end of the season. So, pretenders for the Chargers. Next, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. The AFC's wide open, right? Are they contenders or are they pretenders, Dan?
Bro, pretenders by a mile. And I'm
Okay.
sorry to all the Steelers fans. Listen, you right across the state from me, okay? But bro, you can't look at this Steelers team, right, and how they've played. Like, congrats. Like you guys beat the Dolphins, congrats. DK Metcalf, bro, DK Metcalf's stiff arm to Minka last night was low key crazy. I don't know if you saw it, Scotty, but this dude legitimately caught the ball in a tight window, turned around, grabbed Minka Fitzpatrick, and just said, "Excuse me,"
Yeah,
and literally just shifted him and then ran for the touchdown. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
The teams
Like,
that made that trade are going up against their former teammate. Except DK never played against or played with
I
Minka
never played with the
because
Dolphins, yeah.
he just got moved there. But you understand what what
I
I'm
get where you're
saying.
coming from.
What I'm saying.
So, so for me, like, this is a pretender team. This is all hype, keep the positive record, and we'll try again next year, chat.
Um, yeah. Um, Rogers is playing better since the injury, and do we trust his defense and the purgatory squad to slip through? They got Detroit next week. If they can beat them, I can believe. But
I'll
right,
believe.
but not right now. The Steelers are like my second favorite team. I love Aaron Rodgers. No one wants them to win more than I do right now, but I just can't.
Hmm.
They're pretenders. But I will say my reasoning going into the playoffs and like why they always lost is they always lost to the Chiefs, Bills, Ravens last year, Bengals. They would lose to them too. It's just the Bills really. Rodgers versus Bo Nix, Drake May, and Stroud, all a bunch of guys who have barely been there. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's impossible, I guess. But it all depends on the Lions game. If they can play well against them, which they might not, but their defense is going to have to show up if they're going to win. Next, and our very last team in contenders or pretenders in the AFC, we got the Ravens. Dan, are the Ravens contenders or pretenders?
This is what I say. They got a 5 game win streak. I don't know. I don't believe that 5 game win streak was the best. It might have continued. I don't remember if they lost or not, but
They lost to
they
the
did.
Bengals.
They lost to the Bengals.
Yeah,
Okay, but they did just pitch a
and
shutout
then
against
they
the
and then
Bengals.
and
Yeah.
then they beat them now. That's right.
So pitching a shutout, it's a good statement, especially for a defense that you feel like was always struggling. Now that Burrow's back, even though Higgins was out, um, I don't want to go and say the Bengals were one dimensional with only Jamar Chase out there. Um, but at the same time, the Ravens and Lamar and how they have been this chemistry between Zay Flowers and Bateman and Andrews, it's just not the same. It doesn't none of the Ravens offense, nothing about it feels the same. And what I mean by not the same is not a good way. It's like they all look like they are confused about where they're trying to go and what they're trying to do 90% of the time. And this is more of Derrick Henry's season because it's colder. You don't want your receivers getting hit, but he's the kind of guy that he still runs strong. He'll still run hard and be able to get big yards. Um, and he was able to do that against the Bengals for sure. Um, but going into the playoffs, you need more than just running.
Yeah,
And I feel like they just haven't been able to get it together on the pass game.
it's real tough too. They got the Patriots, the Packers who are hurt now, and then the Steelers to finish off this season. That's a brutal end of the year schedule for a team that's, 500, trying to make it into the playoffs. I feel like you're lucky to go 2-1 there. Not that the odds are much greater than them going 1-2, but you get what I mean. Um, but did you say
I said
Pretenders?
Pretenders.
Yeah. Well, I actually think if they can win the division, then they are contenders. Because none of the regular season matters. None of all the struggles of what they've looked like matters if they get to the playoffs. They've had times to figure things out on defense, and it always gets better for them, right? Their defense always starts worse than it ends on the season, even if they have injuries. And Lamar is trending upwards right now. He looks more healthy each week. And as each week goes on, I will say he looked like gimped coming back initially. He doesn't look like that anymore. So even though the passing game is still kind of off, him and his scrambling ability looks like it might be back, which means the run game might be kind of back. And if he's in there, the regular season doesn't matter. I'm going to give him the same respect I give Josh Allen because the Bills also have embarrassingly bad flaws with this defense.
Mm-hmm.
They let up a monster game to Travion Henderson and won because of Josh Allen. The
Mm-hmm.
Ravens, they win games because of Lamar Jackson. I mean, they do lose them sometimes, I will admit, but
Because of Lamar Jackson, yeah.
but they are also much newer. There's like no film. I feel like there's no film on what the Ravens are doing right now because they can't do anything right. So there's nothing to study. I know that sounds crazy, but they just have started playing healthy pretty much, this week, I would say. They lost to the Bengals and Steelers. It looked like everything was over. Now they kind of look a lot better. And to me, like I said, I'm just going to give them the same respect and say if they do get in there, then I will say they are contenders. They're going to be a team that nobody should want to play first round. That's for sure, at least. So maybe a little disagreement there. I'm still kind of holding out faith, but I just keep going back to how crazy this year is. So that's enough of AFC Contenders and Pretenders. That was a nice long segment right there. That was a
It was.
discussion. That was a chunky discussion right there. Now it's time for another one. This one's only one question, though. It's only really about kind of one team, but it's also kind of about three teams. It's about the Chicago Bears, who since the
Mm-hmm.
Packers had fallen
Mm-hmm.
and suffered so many injuries, the Bears are now in first place in the NFC North. They're the second seed at 10-4, and they're a game behind first place in the NFC as a whole. And it seems like Ben Johnson and his offseason plan and all of his preparation is delivering benefits and fruits. Very fruitful season for the Chicago Bears. Now, I will say their schedule is kind of like the Patriots, but it's not quite as easy. But it wasn't as hard as the Broncos. So based on the whole schedule factor, I still think this team has some stuff to prove. They play the Packers this week. So, assuming they beat them, are they going to be a real threat to the Rams and Seahawks in the NFC, Dan?
No, I can see them. I can see them shocking them, 100%. I think, for example, the Seahawks watching their games, they're very aggressive to the ball defense. But what's bad about aggressive hard to the ball defense is that
Overplay it.
if you fall for the offensive tricks, that's big play after big
Mm-hmm.
play after big play after big play. The Rams' problem is when you go for the big plays, it's almost like they fall asleep at the wheel. Once they get stuff rolling on offense, the defense starts to let up the gas. Once they if you get ahead of them, from my experience watching the Eagles play the Rams over and over again, if you get ahead of the Rams and the Rams are having to play from behind, it's really difficult. I've seen that when they first get that lead, the defense can just not slam the door. The offense cannot slam the door against these good teams,
The
is
Rams.
what I'm getting at. And I think a team like this, like the Bears, that everyone's been sleeping on, could be a trap playoff game for the Rams, possibly.
Yeah, I do feel like the Rams' weakness is like they almost have something go wrong each game. I did say like they play a complete game. Their defense is good. Their offense is good. But it's like this week they fell behind. Stafford had some turnovers. Then they all figured it out and they came back and won. The worry is what if that, happens for too long in a game, 2 quarters. Um,
Or it happens at the wrong time in
or
the
it
game.
happens at the wrong time of the game. Defense folds at the wrong time. Um, those are the concerns with the Rams. But for me with the Rams, um, I at least feel like with the offense and the defense, it's like what we've seen them look like against some of the league's best right now is is top notch. Like we talked about Stafford MVP and everything, and I mean it really is his now. It was looking like it was a race between him and Drake May.
May.
And we can go with MVP never wins a Super Bowl theory, although I think Mahomes broke that, if I'm not mistaken.
Mahomes did break that.
Yeah, Mahomes did break that. Um, I do, I do just feel that this Bears team has been very opportunistic, and that could help them beat the Rams. Turnovers aren't typically sticky. It's tough to rely on keep continuously getting them, but they're getting them right now. You know, and I do feel like the Bears have everything they need on offense, um, but they too don't really play complete games. They also have shown inconsistencies from the defense,
True.
from the offense. Caleb Williams, like sometimes he won't show up till the fourth quarter. But fun little stat I wanted to bring up is another way this Bears team is like this Broncos team, even though they're kind of like the inverse because it's the offense we really like, and I think we kind of feel there's more potential with Caleb Williams than Bo Nix. Bo Nix has 7 or 6 fourth quarter comebacks or 6 game-winning drives on the year and 5 fourth quarter comebacks. And Caleb Williams had only 2 fourth quarter comebacks in his rookie season, but now he's got 5 fourth quarter comebacks and 5 game-winning drives on the season. So it's kind of similar where like they play really well, and I think they're coached really well. And they can hang in a game schematically with the Rams, and you then at that point putting up your team's level of execution and Caleb Williams or times Caleb Williams rather up against the Rams execution times Matthew Stafford, which who knows what could happen. I will say I think the Broncos had a comeback versus the Chiefs and the Eagles back when the Eagles were healthy. The Bears don't have that in the fourth quarter comebacks. It's Raiders, Commanders with Jaden Daniels, Bengals without Joe Burrow, Giants, and then 9 and the Vikings. Who looks better now? But
Yo, nine was doing his
he
thing
was
against the
doing his
Cowboys.
thing against the Cowboys. That's right. I cannot believe I was so high on them. But yeah, I it's really tough to say. I say they are a real threat and they could do it. You catch the Rams on a bad week, and you're able to run the ball and stay ahead,
The
sure.
Panthers.
But they're not going down easy though. The Bears are going
No.
to have to play their best game of the season in order to beat the Rams. And
Yes,
I'm not
but
saying it
if
can't
you
happen. I would say
I,
it's unlikely, but it definitely can happen. They are a real threat for sure.
I definitely feel like after watching that Panthers game, you saw they scored on offense and they were physical. They were not letting ish slide like at all. And as long as the like how the Panthers play with that kind of mentality of just like go get them, like aggressive to the ball, kind of. This is not. You can't play the Rams cute, and I think that's why they always have a hard time against the Eagles, is because they play passive coverage and aggressive up front. Somebody's always blitzing. It's always getting in the face of the quarterback, trying to go and force him to do stuff.
Yeah.
While I feel like other teams they try to go and be passive, make sure all the big plays don't happen. When in reality, it's like we're just trying to stop you from having time.
Yeah, and I would say it's with the Rams offense, getting pressure on Stafford is it's not as simple as a young QB on a new team. You gotta be able to have your defensive coordinator calling the right shots against Sean McVay. That's like the hidden battle. You know what I mean? You can have the better team if your defensive coordinator calls a blitz at the wrong time. It does not matter. You lose because of your defensive coordinator. And that is such a big part of the playoffs. And for the Bears, it's going to be tough, but I do feel on offense they can probably provide some answers against Chris Shula's defense. Like I said, the Rams defense has been playing a little bit worse over the past couple weeks, and I think Caleb Williams can be better than Sam Darnold, and he's got a better offensive line. So why not? Why not the Bears? Because to be honest, out of the NFC, I don't see the Buccaneers or the Panthers, even though the Panthers did beat
Bro, the
this Rams
Bucks have been
team.
having a hard time.
Yeah, but the Panthers also lost to the Saints, so yeah,
Yeah,
everyone
they
sucks
also
on
lost to
that
the
division.
Saints. Yeah,
And
which
then
is what
the
throws me off.
and then the
It throws
Eagles.
me off with those Panthers, bro.
Yeah, well, the Panthers are like the most they might be the most inconsistent team in the league. I mean, with them, it is truly unbelievable the
They'll go
variance.
beat the Rams to then lose to the Saints.
I'll read you their stretch of win loss win loss win loss right now. It was they beat the Jets. Okay, that's coming off a three. That's their 3 game win streak. And then they lose to the Bills. They get destroyed. Bryce Young's hurt. Then they beat the Packers. And they lose to the Saints. And then they beat the Falcons in overtime. And they lose to the 49ers. But then they beat the Rams. Like, and then they lose to the Saints the following week. How do you even do that? That is crazy. And I look at this and I see the win in overtime versus the Falcons. Bryce Young, almost 500 passing yards. 200 passing yards against the Rams. He was clutch as hell in that game. When they scored, it was him on fourth down throwing touchdowns. And
Throwing
then
touchdowns to
against
McMillan.
against the Packers, it was clutch plays in the fourth quarter. He only had 100 passing yards.
Rico Dowdle was running all over him.
Yeah, and Rico Dowdle was being a big help, but it seems to me like they should try to, you know, throw the ball more because I'm pretty sure they had like 40 carries between. There was a
Hubbard
lot.
and Dowdle.
There was a lot of running in this game. It wasn't 40, it was 30 total, including Bryce Young's legs. So it wasn't really that much, but they also didn't possess the ball that long because the Saints also were running the ball quite a bit, and they had 32 minutes of time of possession. So there's a little advantage there,
Hmm.
but yeah. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how Week 16 changes things. Upcoming schedule this week. I actually kind of want to do a little preview of this because it's just, it's getting to that point in the season where we can kind of look at all the games at once. I think, even before our picks pod, just to kind of preview next week's top 10 list and what that's going to look like and the big games we'll be paying attention to. Thursday night we got Rams Seahawks. Oh, we got to get this pod out at the right time at 8:30 on Thursday, man.
On the money.
I know it says 8:15. It'll start at 8:30, and we won't watch a lick of it. But then Saturday, we got Packers Bears. Also got Eagles Commanders, but come on now. But yeah, Packers Bears on Saturday. Sunday, we got Chargers Cowboys, and technically the Cowboys are still fighting. Chargers, they can't drown. I think they could lose that game. Bills Browns. Let me see. There was another one I was missing. Denver Jacksonville. That's going to be huge. Are the Jags for real? Are the Broncos fraudulent? We'll see. And then we got Patriots Ravens as a Sunday night football game. That sounds
That's
like a
what I say.
Sunday night football game to me.
That sounds like a Sunday night football game.
Ravens Patriots, hell yeah. And then we got Colts 49ers. Colts just gasping for air with Phillip Rivers. And the 49ers, Purdy's back, Kittle's back, McCaffrey has stayed healthy. I don't like that. I think they're scary, but they're also flawed greatly. So looks like a great slot of games coming up for Week 16. So stay tuned for the Thursday pod. We're gonna pick every game in Week 16 and highlight those ones that we had just mentioned right there. And I appreciate you all for watching the 29th episode of the Illegal Formation Podcast. Don't forget to drop a thumbs up if you enjoyed and subscribe so that you can follow us along the NFL season and, hear our talks, top 10s, predictions, and instant reactions on Sundays. Like I said, it's going to be an exciting week. Excited for the regular season to wrap up. We can finally do some different content, do some playoff predictions, and that's the best time of the year, baby. I'm so excited for it.
Oh yeah.
The Giants, man. Oh yeah, I haven't even said pretty much anything about them for a while. I talk about them in the previews and the reactions, but it's very brief because we're tanking, baby, and I just wanted to inject that in at the end because why not? So that's all I got for you guys. And Dan, take it away.
Bro, appreciate you guys for showing up. Appreciate you guys for showing up. Guys, it's gonna be playoff football soon, and the weeks are coming up to fruition about who's here to ball and who's gonna fall. And guys, we're gonna cover all that shit here on the Illegal Formation Podcast. So you make sure you come out every Tuesday, every Sunday, whatever the case is. We're going to update you guys on the schedule. The Discord is live. Go and put that. I got the link down in my description. Go check it out. Do what you got to do, guys. And I'm going to catch you on the next one.